Hey, and welcome back to the Powerful Marketing Tips podcast. Today we'll discuss, an uncomfortable reality about modern work. If you take a team of marketers and give them, great salaries, flexible hours, maybe like a kombucha tap in the break room, you might get a satisfied team. Yeah, but according to research from Bain and Company that we're looking at today, an inspired team isn't just like a little bit better than a satisfied one. They're more than twice as productive.
Yeah, it's actually 2.25 times more productive, to be remarkably precise. And getting a team from, just satisfied to inspired, it has absolutely nothing to do with those perks.
Right.
It has literally everything to do with how they are led.
Wow. Yeah. And by the way, quick disclaimer, this deep dive is AI generated, but all the discussion you hear today is based on actual human written concepts from the book, The Greatest Marketer.
Exactly. And this is a big one.
It really is. We are at the finish line. This is the fifth and final session in our special series on this book. We've already discussed chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this podcast.
Right. So we covered mindset, then strategy, marketing, and communication.
Yep. And now it's time to focus on the final piece of this framework, the capstone. And that is leadership.
Which is really the operating system that runs all those other applications we've talked about. I mean, calling it an operating system is a much more accurate way to look at it, I think.
Definitely. Because we're so conditioned to think of leadership as like a hierarchy, right? Like a ladder you climb until you have the authority to just tell other people what to do.
Oh, absolutely. And the source material fundamentally rejects that. Leadership, specifically in this context of, high stakes marketing, it's about becoming a multiplier.
A multiplier. I love that.
Yeah, it's taking your own strength and strategically amplifying them through other people. You're driving actual business outcomes, but without, working yourself into an early grave.
Right. Which means we have to unlearn this idea that getting a fancy C-suite title automatically makes you a leader. So let's look closer at that Bain & Company research, because if an inspired team yields double the output, what are the actual inputs driving that inspiration? Because, let's be honest, inspiration sounds dangerously close to like corporate buzzword territory.
Oh, it really does. But the research maps out 4 very specific quadrants of leadership qualities that trigger this genuine inspiration.
Okay, what are they?
Well, the first is leading the team, which is the ability to unite diverse talents around a shared vision. Then the second is connecting with others, and that requires, profound empathy and active listening.
Right, so it's very relational.
Exactly. Then the third is developing inner resources, meaning your own emotional self-awareness and stress tolerance. And finally, the fourth is setting the tone, fostering a culture of accountability.
Wow, okay. So looking at those 4, they seem to demand a massive amount of emotional bandwidth. Like a leader has to be simultaneously empathetic, accountable, visionary, and totally self-aware.
They do. And that is exactly why the model anchors all 4 of those to a single non-negotiable core attribute. Without this, the other 4 just collapse under pressure.
Okay, what's the anchor?
It's centeredness.
Centeredness.
Mm-hmm.
See, I hear that word and my mind immediately goes to like yoga retreats or meditation apps.
Right. Crystals and incense.
Yeah. So let's apply this practically. Imagine a chief marketing officer. It's Thursday afternoon. The board just slashed the Q4 ad budget by 20%. A major competitor launched a disruptive product, and the PR team is dealing with a social media backlash.
A total nightmare scenario.
Exactly. So how does being centered actually help them run a high-pressure campaign? Doesn't the team need, aggressive action in that moment?
Well, aggressive action fueled by panic usually just leads to catastrophic, unforced errors, Centeredness isn't passivity. Think of it as an internal shock absorber.
A shock absorber.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
In your scenario, chaos is just the weather. A centered leader doesn't absorb the board's anxiety and then instantly project that terror down onto the graphic designers and copywriters.
Oh, man, we've all had bosses who do exactly that.
Exactly. Instead, they pause, they evaluate the shifting landscape logically, and they make decisions aligned with the long-term vision. They aren't just, reacting to the loudest alarm bell.
So it's about breaking that chain of emotional contagion. Like, you take the hit from the board, but you don't pass the tremor down the line.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And when a leader remains visibly grounded during a crisis, it recalibrates the entire team's nervous system.
Wow.
Yeah, the team stops worrying about their own job security, and they actually start focusing on solving the competitor's product launch. That centeredness gives you the credibility to ask your team to do hard things.
That makes a lot of sense. It shifts leadership from just having authority to having actual influence. But influence isn't, it's not a switch you can just flip on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
If centeredness is the baseline, how do we systematically build that influence?
Well, it's a progression.
Right.
And to map that out, the source leverages John C. Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. It's incredibly useful for marketers trying to figure out, why their teams aren't performing.
Okay, let's go through them. What's the baseline?
The baseline, level 1, is position. People follow you simply because they have to.
Because you have the title.
Right. It's the absolute lowest form of influence. If you find yourself saying, I'm the boss, so just do it, you've already lost the room.
Right. You get compliance, but you're never going to get that discretionary effort or creativity you need for a great marketing campaign.
Exactly. So to move up, you hit level 2, which is permission. People follow you because they want to. You've invested time in building relationships, so they trust you as a person.
Okay, that makes sense. And then comes level 3, which is production. And honestly, I've seen a massive trap here for highly skilled marketers.
Oh, completely.
Because at level 3, people follow you because of the results you achieve, right? You're hitting KPIs, driving revenue, running these brilliant campaigns.
Yep.
But the trap is that marketers often build their entire identity around being the chief doer. They think level 3 is the finish line because they're the hero of the department.
That hero complex is exactly what limits their career trajectory. A level 3 leader is ultimately still a bottleneck.
Wow. Yeah, if you're the only one who can write the winning copy, your department's growth is capped by your personal stamina.
Precisely. And this is why the jump to level 4 is so psychologically difficult for people. Level 4 is people development.
Okay.
At level 4, people follow you because of what you do for them. You transition from being the star player to being the coach.
You literally have to change how you measure your own value.
Exactly. Your success isn't about the brilliant campaign you built. It's about the 3 junior marketers you train to build brilliant campaigns.
That is such a huge shift. And what's level 5?
Level 5 is the pinnacle. People follow you because of who you are and the legacy you represent. But there's a vital concept the book introduces here called liquid leadership.
Liquid leadership, what does that mean?
It means these levels aren't a permanent staircase. Leadership is totally fluid.
Wait, really? Meaning you can actually lose your status?
Or just reset it. Think about a seasoned marketing director. They've spent 5 years building a level 4 relationship with their core team. They're a mentor, highly respected.
Right.
Then the company acquires a new startup, and that director is suddenly put in charge of this new, skeptical, defensive marketing team.
Oh, I see. To the new team, they aren't a level 4 leader at all.
Right. They drop instantly back to level 1 or 2. They have the title, but 0 relational capital with the new group.
They basically have to re-earn the permission to lead from scratch.
Yeah.
Prove they can produce results together.
Exactly. If a leader walks into a new room, assuming they're permanently at level 4, demands total trust immediately, they're going to alienate everyone.
That concept is deeply freeing, to be honest. It removes that imposter syndrome when you take on a new role and feel like nobody is listening to you.
Yes, you haven't failed. You just haven't climbed the levels with that specific group of humans yet.
Okay, so as marketers who are laser focused on metrics, how do we actively make that jump from level 3 to level 4? How do we transition from doing the work to developing the people?
The book provides a very tactical answer with what it calls the 5 multipliers. These are strategies to scale your impact without scaling your working hours.
I love that. What's the first one?
The first one attacks that hero complex directly. Empower others to own their zone.
Okay, but how is owning a zone different from just, standard delegation?
Well, standard delegation is handing someone a to-do list, like schedule these emails, update this spreadsheet. When you do that, you still own the outcome. The employee is just doing the manual labor.
Right, they're just pushing the buttons.
Yeah. Empowering them to own their zone means delegating responsibility for the actual result.
So you'd say something like, you own our email retention metrics. Here's the budget. Figure out how to increase open rates by 5%.
Exactly. You give them the destination, but you let them figure out the navigation.
But realistically, when a marketer finally decides to let go of a critical task, the anxiety of it falling through the cracks is terrifying. How do we delegate without things just, exploding?
That's a very real fear. The source material provides a strict protocol for this. You never do a one-way handoff. First, you check for understanding, and you do not ask, does that make sense?
Because they'll always just say yes.
Exactly. Instead, you ask them to repeat back to you what success looks like for the project.
Oh, that's brilliant. It forces them to articulate the goal and exposes any misunderstandings right away.
Right. Then you establish precise deadlines, not sometime next week, a specific day and hour.
And I'm guessing we need to get out of our email inboxes for this.
Oh, definitely. You have to use shared project management tools like Trello or Asana, so there's a single source of truth. And finally, establish a rhythm of check-ins, because delegation without follow-up is just abdication.
Right, it's just abandoning them. Okay, what is the second multiplier?
The second is install systems that think for you. If a task requires the same decisions every time, you're wasting cognitive energy. Automations should handle the friction so your brain is reserved for problem solving.
Which naturally leads to the third multiplier, right?
Yeah.
Because I actually love this one. It's a huge callback to chapter 1.
Yes, protect strategic thinking time, or what the book calls MIP time, most important person time.
Yeah, we talked about how marketers feel so guilty if their fingers aren't actively typing. We equate physical action with productivity. But if you don't schedule time to just think, as if it's a meeting with a VIP client, you'll just react to everyone else's emergencies forever.
Exactly. A leader who doesn't schedule time to think is honestly a hazard to their own team.
Yeah.
They steer the ship on impulse.
Right, so what's the fourth multiplier?
Align with impact. This means translating all marketing activities into tangible business outcomes so the C-suite actually understands the value.
Yeah, because far too often we walk into boardrooms talking about vanity metrics, like impressions or share of voice.
And the rest of the executive team only cares about revenue, acquisition cost, and retention. You multiply your influence when you prove marketing is a revenue driver, not just a cost center.
Totally. And the fifth multiplier.
Model what matters. It brings us right back to centeredness. You have to lead by example and be a lighthouse for the organization.
Because your team mirrors your behavior. If you tell them to prioritize work-life balance, but then you're sending Slack messages at 2 a.m. on a Sunday.
Your actions just destroyed your words. Exactly.
Okay, but let's talk about the messy human element. Because you can apply all 5 multipliers flawlessly. You can set up brilliant Asana boards, align with financial goals. But a month into a stressful launch, team motivation is going to dip.
Oh, inevitably.
People get slighted, conflicts emerge. It's like trying to drive a car with no fuel. If you ignore the team's emotional state, all your fancy workflow systems just gather dust.
That is a perfect analogy, and the source material addresses this through the powerful success process, or the PSP flywheel.
Okay, what's the core idea there?
Well, most corporate structures assume results come purely from actions and systems. The PSP model proves performance actually starts much deeper. It starts with emotions.
Wait, it starts with emotions.
That's fascinating. Walk us through that cycle.
So a team's underlying fears, hopes, and anxieties, those are the emotions. Those emotions crystallize into specific feelings.
Okay.
Those feelings directly influence their thoughts. Their thoughts dictate the goals they set. Those goals drive their daily actions.
And actions repeated over time become habits.
Exactly. Those habits form the culture of the team, and that culture is what ultimately produces your results.
Wow. And since it's a flywheel, those results just feed right back into their baseline emotions, right?
Exactly. The cycle spins again. Let's apply this to a real scenario. Say we just ran a massive lead generation campaign that completely flopped. Terrible results.
Okay, so that negative result feeds directly into their emotions. The team feels vulnerable, they're afraid for their jobs. That emotion turns into a feeling of insecurity.
Which creates a thought. I need to protect myself and prove this wasn't my fault.
Great. And that thought alters their goals. The goal isn't collaborate to fix the campaign anymore. The goal becomes shift the blame to the sales department.
Oh man, and that goal drives their actions. They start hoarding data, sending defensive emails. And if they repeat that, it becomes a habit.
Yes. And a team with a habit of shifting blame has just solidified a toxic, siloed culture, which guarantees the next campaign will also have terrible results.
So the flywheel spins downward. And the mistake we make is trying to fix the problem at the action stage, right? We just buy new reporting software.
Exactly. But if you ignore that root emotion, the fear from the initial failure, no software will fix the culture.
You have to provide psychological safety first. This really pairs perfectly with that other framework you mentioned, Tuckman's stages of group development.
It does. It normalizes the friction team's experience. The stages are forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning.
Right. When a new team is forming, everyone is super polite. But then they enter the storming phase.
And that's where power struggles emerge. Working styles clash. A lot of leaders panic here, thinking they hired the wrong people.
But the storming phase isn't a failure condition. It's a required gateway. A team arguing during a campaign might just be storming.
Exactly. The leader's job isn't to suppress the storming. It's to navigate the conflict using their centeredness and guide the team into the norming phase where trust is established. Only then can they reach performing.
This brings us to a really beautiful vantage point for the whole book. Let's pull the camera back and look at how all 5 pieces of the greatest marketers framework connect.
Yeah, it's a completely sequential journey. You cannot skip steps. It begins with mindset managing your own resilience and balance to prevent burnout.
Right. Then once your mindset is fortified, you move to strategy, aligning your efforts with the business goals.
With a strategy in place, you execute through marketing, building the systems to work smarter, not harder,
Then you layer on communication, building genuine relationships and trust.
which culminates in leadership, where you multiply your impact, shift from doing to empowering, and manage that emotional flywheel.
When you look at it as a whole, the core message is so clear. The greatest marketer isn't a job title. It's not about knowing the latest TikTok algorithm. It's a holistic way of leading, thinking, and acting that elevates everyone around you.
It really is. And because it's an ecosystem, the book shares a final call to action. True leadership demands paying it forward to the next gen.
The next gen, people 25 and under.
Exactly. The people sitting where you were 10 years ago. A level 4 leader sees that gap in experience as an obligation to mentor. Because ultimately, no one wins alone. No one wins alone. That is such a powerful truth. So as we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. Look at your desk or your calendar right now. Where are you currently holding on too tightly to tasks that could be owned by someone else?
Yeah, what's keeping you stuck at level 3?
What would happen to your business's growth if you finally let those tasks go? The friction you feel in doing that is the exact friction required to grow. If you want to explore these ideas in more depth, go get The Greatest Marketer on Amazon or learn more about the book at thegreatestmarketer.com.
It's been an incredible exploration of what it takes to build something lasting.
It really has. Thanks for listening to our AI series of the book. This is the final episode done by us, but don't worry, the Powerful Marketing Tips podcast will continue with human hosts. Take care.